Christina, I want to know, it's like, speaking of, authentic inner light and sharing it with the world, like, could you give me an example of a time where you felt like you were really living your true purpose?
Oh, that's such I
It's a
love
deep
deep
question.
questions.
It's a deep
That's a
question.
deep question. I like it. Yeah, so I think there's definitely more than one time. Throughout my time working in events, I actually developed my true like entrepreneurial spirit, if you will, while I was working for my ex-boyfriend actually. So he owns a business called Playground Games, and when I was working with him, I was kind of freelancing my emceeing abilities. So I would MC large events for different companies, and I was doing that as well as trying to be an actor. So I wasn't 100% like invested in the events industry. Like I had a foot in the door, but not quite fully there. And he needed some help. So he hired me on as his first employee ever. And I was like 22 years old at the time. So it was about 4 years ago. And we worked together for about 3 years, me and him, before our relationship ended, of course. But he was older than I was, and he was very integral to my success. Like he very much instilled in me what it's like to be an entrepreneur, what it's like to own your own business. And after working for him, I kind of knew that like I really wanted to be an entrepreneur and one day own my own business, but I wasn't passionate enough about anything to do that. You know, like people would say, hey, you should own like an acting studio or a dance studio, like all these things that I enjoyed doing and I was somewhat good at, but I just like, nothing felt right. So throughout that whole journey, you know, I loved working for him. He owned an inflatables and giant game company. So like I helped him book people and, you know, I worked events and I hired his first employees, his first 15 employees. Like there were a lot of things that I did that like, it just felt super authentic to me. Like, I'm like, wow, like I'm helping somebody who he was the first employee ever. It was a business that he really believed in and that he put his heart and soul in, and he trusted me to be his first employee ever. And then he trusted me to hire other people for him. That was just like, I felt that my purpose at that time on the planet was to help people in their small businesses, but I wasn't sure in what capacity. All I knew is that I loved supporting him and I loved what he did and what he stood for. So I think that's where it started. And then now, after this whole epiphany of being a virtual assistant for different people I'm connecting with around the country, even around the world, I feel now more than ever, I'm living my authentic truth and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm taking what I learned then, my love for helping a small business owner, an entrepreneur. I'm doing that now with more than one person, but it's not like a full-time job with just one person. I'm working with different kinds of people from different industries, and I'm giving them my knowledge and my skill set so they could be more visible on social media, connecting them to their communities to see exactly what, you know, the questions you were just saying, like asking the community, what is it that you want to see? What kind of events do you want to attend? Kind of being that liaison between the community and the business owner, being like, okay, what can we do to make this community better? Because that's what creates that loyal following and the success for the business owner. So I think since I was 22 years old, I've really been finding my way to living my authentic truth, but I wasn't sure how to get there. But now, since COVID happened, as terrible as it is, it's really great now with everything going on. Like that's the one thing I'll take from it, the positivity from being able to start my own business and everything. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. You know, it's interesting that you mentioned enjoying acting, but then not really wanting to create a business based around dancing and acting. And this is a similar challenge that a lot of music artists face because they like making music, but then there's also like the business.
Yeah, I think that's like something that's super important to note, that if you're in the music business and you're trying to make it, whatever that means for you, that's different for everybody. The business side of it is just as important as making the music and putting your music out there, because without developing that following and knowing how to reach your potential fans, without your fans, your music probably isn't going to be where you want it to be. It exists, and your creativity and your vision and your artistry all exist, and that's all so important. But if you want your music to reach people, which I think is the goal of many artists, you have to care about that business aspect. And right now, the biggest thing is social media. You know, sharing about yourself, about your life, being vulnerable. People want to feel connected to the content that you're sharing. I think that's the whole reason for being a part of the community. And right now, especially with everything going on, people want to feel connected. They're like desperate to feel connected.
Christina, I have a question for you. So when you think about the future of this community and your role in it, what excites you most?
I think what excites me most is like all the potential. Like you as a founder of a community that has so much potential, I think that the sky is the limit. like it's truly inspiring that you just believe in yourself every single day, no matter what the outcome is of how people react to your content, because it takes time to develop a following and have people see what you're doing, and like you just stay authentic to yourself. And I love working with you for that reason specifically, because sometimes it's slow to get your following going for any business, but as long as you're staying true to who you are and how you want to portray your brand and your music, and like you believe in what you're doing, the people will come. And I really believe that, and I love being a part of this whole process with you, because like when the people do start coming more, because you already have some of your people, but like there's so many more to be discovered. And I'm excited to be part of this process with you, because we're going to discover who these people are, and like we're going to be able to engage with them and, you know, make it more of a positive impact in their lives so they could be successful just like you are. And again, success is different for everybody. Success for one person may be being famous. Success for another person may be getting 500 people to listen to their album in a week period. Like there's different levels of success, and I'm excited for not only you to get there, but for us to develop that following and taking a look to see how we can help your community get there and achieve their goals as well, because that's the whole reason for connection and having these events, so people can succeed and become better artists themselves. So I'm really excited for the potential of everything that's happening. It's seriously like, it's going to be awesome, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Awesome. Yeah, totally. I'm also excited about, like you said, like connecting with different people and finding ways to help them and develop their ability to express who they really are. The great thing about like the world right now is that there's like a billion people that would be willing to listen to a song by an artist that they've never even heard of before. So like the opportunity is out there to like get in front of people. Like people are willing to give you a chance, but first you need to put in the time to like develop yourself and who you are in your own music, so that what you're creating can actually connect with people that do give you a chance. Next question, Christina, if you had 1 year left to live, what are you doing?
Oh God, that's so depressing.
Okay, well, you're still gonna live, but in 1 year you're gonna go to a different planet. So what are you doing here before you leave?
Okay, fine. I would probably, this is gonna be so lame, but like I've always wanted to live in a floating bungalow in Thailand. So I think I'd do that and write a lot and eat fresh fruit and just like, I don't know, like I'm a huge homebody, so I would enjoy being a homebody somewhere else, with a nice view, and their societal standards and norms are way different than here. So I think I would enjoy more of that kind of like lax nature and minimalist lifestyle, because I wouldn't feel the need to like pressure myself into doing all these things in 1 year. Like I would just enjoy being there and present during that time. So honestly, I'd probably just live in a floating bungalow in Thailand and just be like, I wouldn't do anything that exciting. There's nothing on my bucket list that I'm like, oh, I have to do this crazy thing. Like, no, I just want to like be at peace, I think.
Relax and do some writing.
Yeah.
What do you think you would write about?
I don't know. I'd probably write about my life story, from beginning to end, and just kind of leave it there for someone to discover. And maybe people would read it, maybe they wouldn't. But I've had a very interesting life, so I think that sharing my experiences, and my thoughts from my point of view would be interesting. And maybe it's interesting enough to read for someone else to read, maybe it's not. I don't know. But that would probably take a while to write, since the second I was born, because, well, I don't know what that's like, but I'd have to probably interview people in my life what their experience was at that time, so I could write from a different point of view from times I can't possibly remember. So yeah.
So you would also be like reaching out to people that you've known throughout your life to find out, to hear a different perspective on the different parts of your life?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would help me gain a better perspective and be able to write about it more clearly.
Nice. That's a great answer.
Thanks.
So so this has been meeting Christina.